Hey, it's Jazz at Red Panda Reads, and today I want to talk to you about all the books that I've got from charity shops during the month of September. So I did not realise there's this thing called Secondhand September where you basically pledge that for 30 days you'll only buy from charity shops. And I saw Jean on Jean Bookish Thoughts doing a video about this and about the books she'd got from charity shops. And it suddenly dawned on me that this month I have literally only brought stuff from charity shops. All the clothes I've got, including this top, which I think is an absolutely lovely autumnal colour, I've got from charity shops. All the books I've got from charity shops. And so I thought, you know what, let's share with you my charity shop buys, because I'm super excited about some of them. I have books by authors I absolutely adore. I also have some books that I found that were on my TBR. So as soon as I saw them on the shelf, I was like, I'm having those. And then I've also got some books that I read in junior and secondary school, which were kind of on the school curriculum, and they're books that I remember absolutely loving. And so I'm really keen to reread them, and I hope that doesn't shatter my memory of them. And I hope they stand up as well as kind of now I'm an adult as they did when I was 13 years old or younger. And so that's super exciting. So let's start. So my first books I have are two books by Brandon Sanderson, which are The Alloy of Law and Shadows of Self. So I'm so excited about these books. I've been wanting to read these for ages, but compared to the length of his normal books, they seem really short, and I haven't wanted to pay £9 for them. And when I saw them for £2 each, I just couldn't resist, and I was super happy. So these books are novellas set in the Mistborn universe 300 years after the Mistborn trilogy, which is one of my all-time favourite Brandon Sanderson series. If you want to know more about Brandon Sanderson, I have done a whole video ranking all his books, and it also gives you quite a good overview of all his books if you are interested in starting Brandon Sanderson and are not sure where to start. So go and check it out. But he's a phenomenal fantasy author, and I think the thing for me that makes him so phenomenal is that I adore his magic systems. So take Harry Potter, for example. The magic system tends to be quite soft, so you kind of wave your wand, say a couple of funky words, your magic happens. In Brandon Sanderson's books, the magic system tends to have quite strict rules and limitations, and within the Mistborn series, which these books follow on from, the magic system is amazing. So there's this magic called allomancy, where certain individuals are able to consume different metals and burn the metals within them to produce powers. So these powers include kind of increased endurance and strength, the ability to affect people's emotions, and the ability to either attract or push away metal. And there are certain individuals within the book called Mistborn who are able to burn any metal and get all the powers, whereas there are other people who only have one power. And what I love is that as soon as you've used up all the metal you've got, you've burnt it all off, that power disappears. So throughout the book, the characters have to think about how much metal they have access to, when in a fight they're going to use the metals, what happens if they lose a metal, if they're, for example, using pewter, which gives you kind of increased strength and endurance. What happens if you suddenly run out of that during a fight? It feels like there's a lot more risk with the magic and a lot more strategy, and I really loved that aspect, and it created some absolutely phenomenal fights within those books. So these books also, by the looks of it, use that magic system, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it and whether we learn anything more about the magic system or discover any more metals that do other things, which would be really cool. The only thing I'm worried about is I absolutely adored the protagonist in the Mistborn series. It's a young girl named Vin, And initially she starts off as quite a meek character. She's very distrustful. She's been brought up on the streets, been treated really badly, abandoned by her brother. And she's just kind of doesn't really, just as you can imagine, absolutely terrified by everything that's going on, just trying to survive in this world that has been so cruel to her. And by the end of the, end of the series, she is such a powerful, confident, trusting, kind. She was kind anyway, but she's a just really, really amazing woman. And the kind of transition she goes through is so believable and so wonderful to see. And so it's going to be quite strange reading a Mistborn book without her in it. Nevertheless, I'm so excited to read these. And yeah, it probably won't take me long, and I'm looking forward to telling you guys about more Brandon Sanderson. The next book I've got here is the only one in the pile that I've read since I brought it, and that is Temeraire by Naomi Novik. This, I would say, is a historical fiction with fantasy elements to it. So it's set in the Napoleonic War, and as well as naval ships, there are also dragons fighting within the war. So both the French and the English have their dragons, which they are pitting against each other to help win the war. It was such a lovely read. I knew nothing about it when I picked it up. I just liked the look of the cover and the fact it had dragons in it. And I love the relationship between the main character, Lawrence, and his dragon, Temeraire. So Lawrence initially is a naval officer, and he captures a French boat, and within that boat is a dragon egg. And the dragon egg hatches for him, and he forms a bond with the dragon, which he names Temeraire. And I love the relationship and just how much they care for each other, both him and the dragons, and the kind of adventures they go through. And in general, I found this quite a cozy book, but there was this part where there is another dragon who just wants to be loved by his owner and handler. He just wants to be loved by kind of the handler who he has a bond with. And that handler doesn't love the dragon and just sees him as like a mount to ride. And I found that bit so distressing. I actually cried in places. But absolutely great book. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to reading more in her series. And it was, a bit of a treasure. So next we have Wakenhurst. So initially, as with Temeraire, I thought I'd pick this up just because of the cover, because I thought it was super pretty. It is a Gothic novel set in Edwardian Suffolk, and it follows Maud, who is a lonely child growing up without her mother, ruled by a repressive father. It says here that when he finds a painted medieval devil in the graveyard, unhallowed forces are awakened. Maud's battle has begun. She must survive a world haunted by witchcraft, the age-old legends of her beloved Fen, and the even more nightmarish demons of her father's past. I thought it sounded really good and really creepy. I don't normally go for that creepy books, but I love the kind of setting it is being told in, and so I was super excited to get it. However, it turns out it was on my TBR, and I think I've seen other booktubers talk about it, and I can't remember if it was in a positive or negative light. I'm hoping positive, but hopefully this won't creep me out too much, and I'm excited to read it. The last adult book that I have is Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. I listened to my first Sarah Waters this month. I got it on Audible because it was like a 2-for-1, and that was Tipping Velvet. And it was far more lewd than I was expecting. I'm not at all a prudish person, but when you are driving down the motorway, and it's going to be quite off-putting. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought I'd pick up one of her other books, which was Fingersmith. And this one's also set in kind of Victorian England and follows another romance between two women. And I just find her books the characters within her books absolutely they're so well developed and so interesting, and I just really enjoyed her writing, so I'm looking forward to this one. Where do we go from there? My next book is a non-fiction. So Women in Sport, 50 Fearless Athletes Who Play to Win. This was both written and illustrated by Rachel Ignotofsky. I just loved the illustrations. Look how beautiful this book is. Her artwork is just so fun and bright, and I also just love the theme of let's see how wonderful women are, because we are, hey? And it's lovely to see them, especially in something such a sport which was such a male-dominated thing for so long. It's great to see that as far back as, let me just find it, as far back as 1881, we had influential women doing sport. So I cannot wait to read this, to see the pictures. It's just beautiful. The next lot of books are from the either young adult or middle grade section of my charity shops. And the first of that is Murder Most Unladylike. Again, I saw this on Jean's channel. It's about two young girls who find a body and then the body disappears, and they decide to investigate the murder and create their own little detective agency. And I think things go a little bit more crazy than they were expecting. It's by Robin Stevens. I think it's just going to be a really charming, feel-good read. I'm going to curl up with a hot chocolate, maybe with a red panda or two, and read it. And it's quite short, so it shouldn't take me too long. And yeah, that will be absolutely lovely. The next one I've got, I said I wanted cozy reads. This is not going to be a cozy read. This is Moonrise by Sarah Crosman. It's a book that's sold as a young adult book. It's written in verse, and it's about a young guy whose brother is on death row, and he decides to spend as much of his brother's last days as possible getting to know his brother. I'm looking forward to reading this, and I've never read a book in verse before, so maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't. But I was so happy to find this in the charity shop. I keep on almost buying it, and so yeah, that was super great. And again, I think it was less than £2, so bargain. The last three books I have are all books that I've read when I was younger and that I want to reread. So the first is a Michael Morpurgo book, and that is Kanzukis Kingdom. So I think this is the only Michael Morpurgo book I've read, and I remember reading it in year 6, and I absolutely loved it. And of course we wouldn't be able to read all the book in one session. I don't even know if we ended up finishing it. And I remember every time my English lessons finished, I'd get really annoyed because I just want to read this. And so it's all I remember about it is that it's set on an island, and there is a man living there called Kanzuki. So that's literally all I remember. I'll read the blurb for you because that is a just pathetic description of the book. So what it says is, washed up on an island in the Pacific, Michael struggles to survive on his own. With no food and no water, he curls up to die. When he wakes, there is a plate beside him of fish and fruit and a bowl of fresh water. He is not alone. So yeah, this is bringing back things. So there's a guy who gets washed up on an island, and then there's someone who helps him survive. And I just remember being completely dazzled by the scenery and the adventure and wanting to travel to this place that's depicted in this book. And so I'm hoping I get as much joy out of it as I did in year 6. The next book is a book I read in year 8 in English literature. And it's Holes by Lewis Sachar. This book is about, I'm going to have to look at the back again. So this book is about a young guy who gets taken to a juvenile detention centre, and within the centre they have to dig holes. And within this there is a mystery that kind of unravels as the book goes on. And my main memory of this book, other than enjoying it, is that we had to write a short story inspired by holes. And Oh, I'm just going to say this because I'm proud. I am proud of the writing I used to do. My story got read in front of everyone else in the class, and I got like really good, kind of got like, I think, a certificate for doing it and things, and I was just really proud because at that point I really wanted to be a writer. And so that was like one of my achievements at school. And so I just want to revisit this book. All I remember is there's a person called Kissing Kate Barlow. Yeah, and so that's exciting. That's as much as I know about it. That's as much as you guys are going to know about it if you've read it. But if anyone has read either of these books at school and has gone back to it and still enjoyed it, please let me know. I'm super excited for discussing it as well. They're super short, so it should not take me long to get through them. I'm excited. So the last book is a book called Pirates! Yeah, it's got an exclamation mark, by Celia Rees. And this book I got in 2006. So I must have been about I can't do maths. So that's 14 years ago. Was it 2006? Oh my god, I can't remember. And I read it so many times. I think I must have read it at least once a year. I think when we moved house, it got sent to a charity shop, and now I've got a new copy from a charity shop. Maybe this is my copy. You never know. But what it's about, it's got a sticker on the back. So it says on the back, what drives two young women from such different backgrounds to take to the perilous life of piracy? What has befallen Nancy Kington and Minerva Sharp that makes this existence better than the one they've left behind? In this vivid, exciting, and completely gripping novel, why cannot I not read the blurbs of books? In this vivid, exciting, and completely gripping novel read the remarkable adventures of two girls, one a merchant's daughter and the other a runaway slave, as they sail the seas, fight for their lives, and search for their loves. So I remember it being incredibly dark in places. I'm pretty sure there's a bit where one of these girls gets, where the figureheads of ships are, she gets strapped to the figurehead of a ship. And yeah, again, that's about as much as I remember. And I'm just really excited to read it and see if it still reads well now I'm a older individual. So yeah, those are all my books I've got from charity shops, and I'm super excited for reading these books, and I think I'm going to start reading some now. So take care everyone, look after yourselves, shop charity shops, there are some amazing finds there, and take care. Bye bye.